Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, near or far, high or low. Welcome back to the Coach G podcast. And listeners, man, it's just, when it comes to the Super League, just the rebranding, you already know me. I'm all about supporting the London Lions, and we have an extremely standout guest. Without further ado, let me introduce this high-level athlete the right way. Honestly, I'm excited to have Macy Spinks on the podcast in the studio with me. And honestly, she is a standout guard with an impressive basketball resume. She was an MVP at Barking Abbey Academy, a former Great Britain international who competed in the FIBA Under-18s 3x3 Euro Cup qualifiers. And she has played over in the US as well for the women's basketball team, and she now plays professionally for the London Lions in the Super League Women's. Macy is honestly making waves as a skilled point guard and a leader on the court. So please, listeners, please give a warm welcome to Macy Spinks. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Just before we even just speak about your career and playing for the London Lions, how would you say, how is your physical and how is your mental right now?
Right now, physically, I'm very good. Well, I always say that I'm very good, but we're in the middle of the season right now. I think we have our heavy stretch coming up. So a little bit tired here and there, but you get used to managing it, recovery, and also like using your mental as well to kind of like push through as well, because a little bit of soreness is good, a little bit of fatigue, like you give your maximum effort, so that's expected as well. But my mental is good right now. I feel like I'm quite good at maintaining like a level head. So
That's key.
yeah, I feel very good right now.
Nice. And just with regards to, because I did a lot of research just on your background, I understand that you come from quite the sport and basketball background. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So, like, who was the person and where was you when a basketball was placed in your hands for the very first time?
I actually started playing quite late. I first played for a team when I was 14, and I played my junior basketball at Oakland's Wolves. But I've always been around basketball because my dad is Drew Spinks, and he's a bit of a legend. So I've always been around it growing up, like the MK Lions, now the London Lions, like they were the original. Growing up would be going to his games all the time with my mum and my grandparents. And so I was up in Bletchley and Milton Keynes a lot as a child. So that was, I first started like around basketball from an early age, but would join in with like community sessions and stuff when I was like 12 maybe, but never took it very seriously. So I feel like I started quite late in the game when I played like actual organized basketball for the first time when I was 14.
Well,
But before that, yeah, didn't really do too much with the game, but I've been around it, you know.
right. And let's say, like, and I mean, when it comes to your pops, he is a legend.
He's a bit of a wizard, to be honest, as Drewski.
Growing up with a father who played professionally in Europe and even representing his country, like, how did his experiences shape your basketball journey?
He is not your typical sporting parent in the best way possible. He always made this clear from the very beginning when I started playing that it was me that would have to drive things and want to do things, and he would help me in any way possible, but it would have to be me coming to him and asking for help. And I think that really like helped me establish my want to play, and that's why I've been playing for so long so far, hopefully a lot longer. But it really helped establish like motivation and independence from a really like early age.
I like that approach because there's always, not a stereotype, we always wonder, you know, when the parents do so well, and especially when they play at a high level, there tends to be that pressure that the kid ends up inheriting. But the fact that the opposite was like, look.
No, because he just wanted me to be happy. So if that, like, there was no pressure at all, absolutely none, like, which might like shock people, but I reckon that's why I'm still in the game now.
Right.
So.
And just with regards to your time, you know, there are many powerhouses, especially in the UK and even just in different countries with regards to basketball. And Barking Abbey has been a powerhouse for goodness knows how long.
Yeah.
You've achieved quite a lot at Barking Abbey. Like, how would you say, your time at Barking Abbey was, and how did winning the MVP in 2019 just influence your confidence as a player?
I think for me, I had really great experiences at Barking, even off the court as well, because I lived away from home. That set me up very nicely for like right now and where I am and going to America. But on the court, I was able to play Division One, NBL, but also play WBBL as like a 17, 18-year-old. So that really set me up.
Lauren as well.
Yeah, Lauren Christie and Teresa De Silva. So like being able to play them and have them as my teammates were really good experiences, and like we're all doing well now and look at us, that kind of thing. But I like being able to balance and like start lifting properly and taking care of my body. It was a really like well-rounded experience that like set me up anyway, like to be able to like keep playing now and still have like a love for the game.
Right.
Like being able to play like high minutes at different levels, and you start forming like your social basketball connections, which are really key because you still have them now and they're like everywhere and the circles are always operating. But so it was a really good starting point, I would say.
What, like, you play for Barking Abbey, what separates Barking Abbey from some of the other programs that are out there? Like, what makes it so special? What are some of the things you kind of learned during your time there? Is it like the coaches, is it the team, the facilities, everything?
Yeah, I don't know, because all places are great places, like especially in London. Like I went and visited loads of different schools, and it just happened that at that time, I think it was 2017, it was just the right fit for me. But I really liked being able to live, because I'm very serious, headstrong, very direct, and I'm focused and streamlined on things. So I wanted to be able to live there. I live in Luton, European paradise, best place. And I wanted to be able to give all of what I had to basketball and school, because that's equally just as important. So living away from home, like close to the school, close to campus, was a very big thing for me, because I didn't want to travel. I wanted to be there as much as I possibly could. But also like the high level coaching staff, like I was being coached by Coach Tope, James Beer, Lloyd Gardner, Ricky Broadmoor, Mark Clark. Like I had all of that, Karen Burton. I had all of these people. Like like I laugh now when I see Lloyd and James, and I'd be going into the office, knocking on the door, and be like, "Can I have an individual, please?" And they'd be like, "It's Macy again." But like that's what I was here. That's what I was there to do. So I kind of tried to rinse it like a sponge, and then it's good.
Yeah, it's smart. And there are very few people, you know, just discussing your player pathway, there are very few people who have the honor, the privilege to represent Great Britain. Like, it's one thing wearing your school jersey, your district, or even your academy, but to wear the colours that represent your nation where you're from. What was that process like, getting the corner, but also when you was in that 3x3 tournament, how did that prepare you for the challenges of international basketball?
International basketball was tough, and I feel like other countries are a lot more physical than us. Or that's what it felt like. That's what it felt like when we were playing. But it was an extreme honor to represent my country, and especially like I've never been selected to play like 5-on-5 internationally either. So it was nice to like be rewarded in a different way and still have that opportunity to represent my country. And we had a special group of girls, and we were coached by Steph Collins, so that was a great experience for me. Like I'm still in contact with her now. And some of the other girls as well. So it was an extreme honor, and it does kind of widen your perspectives too. Like we went to Latvia, and we went out there, and it's like you feel small in a way, because your eyes have been like open to how the other teams played, how they move, how they think, and like the pace is just so much faster. And especially in 3x3 too, it's like amplified. That like instead of playing 5-on-5, like there's no room for error.
Right.
And maybe our errors got highlighted a little bit when we went out there, but we did what we could, and it was a great experience.
See, and you just touched upon it, I think, especially, and you was playing 3x3 back then. Like now, I think 3x3 is huge. It's jumping. Like this even in the Olympics now. Like, how would you describe? Because a lot of people realize there is that. Well, you can answer this more. Like to me, I wouldn't say it's a subtle difference. It's a huge difference between 5-on-5 and 3x3. Like, how would you describe the difference, the fitness level, and just what it's like playing in a half-court game versus full-court?
I feel like 3-on-3 is like ultimate basketball conditioning. Not mind it. I do not like running on treadmills. I am one that even needs to be playing to be in basketball shape.
Yeah.
Or like just doing something with like a ball in my hands. But with 3-on-3, like if you make a mistake, it's change of possession. You have to like we can't run down the floor or get back or anything like that. It happens like there and then, and you have to be ready. So even like in terms of physical exertion, if anything, the mental exertion is like 10 times greater. But I love it. It's so fun. And like that's what I would recommend to everyone. Like at any level, like even at like a grassroots like participation level, like it can be fun or it can be really serious and really intense. So it is what you make of it and it is what you put in, really.
So because I feel like every single player, no matter what the sport, you know, I've already told this story how many times. For me, when the training started to kick in, I really started to understand the game, and I knew during that game that I'm actually made for basketball. I'm nice at basketball. For yourself, Macy, when was that moment for you when you realized I'm nice at basketball?
I'm not too sure. The people closest to me like know that I'm not one to like really big myself up much. I'd rather like give to other people's, but we're working on that. We're getting better back in myself. I feel like it maybe clicked for me when my freshman year in America, like, which is kind of late, but you do have to like back yourself out there because you're surrounded by your teammates who will one day become your close friends, hopefully, what they did for me. But they're your closest friends. You have coaches that care about you and have invested in you to get you out there. But you're away from your family, you're away from people back home, and you're away from your old coaches that you're really close with over here. So you really like, it was a turning point for me freshman year. I was like, yeah, I can do this, and I can do this in a different environment, like away from people, like by myself in a different setting. And I can be successful at it too. And then like you recognize your own importance and your own role, like in contributing to other success and other goals. Like we talk about it here, like junior levels, like we had these shared goals, but I feel like in America, you have to be willing to like participate in and contribute to the team's goals. Like it's even more amplified because that is what you're there to do. Like you're there to help the team. You've been flown out, invested in, like you need to perform at the end of the day.
So yeah, you just touched upon something that really starting to, I guess, understand more, you know, as I'm having pros like yourself on the podcast, really understanding it's one thing, like you said, to be flown out and for a program in the US, you know, and some to invest in you in the skill. But it's that sacrifice where you're kind of, like you said, you're away from family, friends, coaches that you spoke to every single day. But when it comes to college basketball, like you got the opportunity to play for some college, like what did that milestone mean to you, and how did you adapt to the American college basketball environment?
I feel like for me, the American game had a bit of a slower feel to it. Like, not a walk up in the literal sense, but I feel like it was a bit slower in terms of like initiating offense, and I feel like it was more of a technical game and individual skill sets kind of game rather than like European basketball, and basketball over here is a tad more fast paced execution. Whereas here in America, we really had to like use our own individual skill sets together, and me as a point guard, I had to understand like what my teammates were good at with their own skill sets in order for us to be successful. But I feel like that milestone for me was a really big achievement, like having like being able to get that recognition. Like I'm not a recognition person, but to be able to be recognized and someone like want you for what you can do and sees that in you, it was a really nice feeling to have. So that was at my 4-year school, and then I got my master's across town at my crosstown rivals at Southern New Hampshire University. So to be able to get another coach to invest in me as well, and to just have more experiences, like, but still have contact with my best friends who are across the road and in the surrounding areas, like that, I was really lucky. Like my experience in America, you hear so many horror stories right now about like kids coming back because it wasn't the right fit, and which is absolutely the right thing to do. If it's not a right fit for you, like you keep searching for that. But I really did land in some really good spots with some really great people, and yeah.
So, because again, you're just hitting such cute bets, and it's a reflection of the development of UK basketball. You'll see normal players like himself, and honestly role models like himself who are going to the US, coming back, And for yourself, when you got that call up or that invitation, when you kind of got the letter, are you as excited as you should have been? And like, you're like, whoa, like, you're telling me this little round basketball is that taking me across the pond? Like, what was that experience like? But also, how did you know that St. Anselm was a good fit for you? Because that's something that not many players are aware of. Like, yes, it's one thing to get the call up, but you want to make sure that the environment, the coaches, the facilities, they actually want to invest in you and matters well-being.
Well, I'm a very academic individual. I'm a big geek. I love learning. So I love learning, and I like learning new things, investing into school. Like, that was always a really big part of like having like a selling point to a school. They were very high academic school. And when I was going through my recruitment process, I targeted high Division 2 schools. So, but they needed to be academic because I wanted to challenge myself in that capacity as well and like have that mental brain stimulation. But I also wanted to go, my thing was I wanted to go to America and play right away. I feel happier when I'm doing things. And that's not to say I didn't want to put in the work to, work my way up the bench, but because I pride myself in trying to be the hardest worker in any row.
Love that.
But I wanted to go and I wanted to do like straight away. Like, I wanted to be a doer. So I targeted these like high Division 2 schools where I thought I could play at or like make impact at right away kind of thing. So that was me. It was school and I wanted playing time, which doesn't happen right away.
Yeah.
And I was prepared for it not to happen right away. But instead of targeting like a lower Division 1 school, because I am quite small, I wanted to be realistic in what I was doing.
Right.
There's lots of overlap between like the bottom tiers of Division 1 and the higher D2 schools. So I wanted somewhere that would hit all aspects. Like, we had life experiences, basketball experience, academic experience. So it had to be like an all-rounded thing for me when I was looking at recruitment in schools.
Hey, fair play. And just kind of speaking about your early basketball journey before we speak about your pro career, like, what lessons did you learn playing college basketball that have translated into your professional career?
The biggest one is rest days are key because the American schedule out there, you can have 2-3 games in a week and practice the day after a game. And it doesn't matter if it's just like a walkthrough scout practice because, you did play a lot the day before. But even like mental rest, like it doesn't come very often. So when you get it, you should take it. And it took me a while to like learn that now. And I'm doing great at recognizing when I should rest and what I need to do to rest.
Right.
And all of those things, that's really important, I would say. But that's like an off the court thing. But on the court, you just need to be really receptive to everything. Coaches' communications, players' communications, like taking your surroundings. Like, you need to be focused on the game, but at the end of the day, not many people are doing what you're doing in any specific moment. So it really was a kind of like most seniors or super seniors now with the portal. You're like, one day this will be my last game. And you say that every time. But like when the last one comes, you're like, oh, snap. Going home soon. Or like, this is the last time, like, no one's sitting in this room with you doing this podcast right now. And it's the same, like, playing, like, around the world, no one is doing this other than us. So, like, it really is about making the most of every opportunity and being receptive and soaking up as much information as you can, whether that's to take to play elsewhere after college or you spend the most time with your social group that you formed over there that you hope to carry on in the future.
Right. Is there any highlights that stand out to you the most, or even lowlights that made you the better person and player when you was playing in St. Anselm and some of the other colleges as well?
I'd say mostly my teammates. Like, they're my best friends, and, you meet, everyone's like, oh, I hope to meet my bridesmaids one day, and you really do. So, I'd say my friends have been coached by some really talented people. And And just like overall, like I said, touched on earlier, my experiences, I was really lucky with all of it in terms of that. But one thing that stood out that really bonded a lot of people, as it did around the world, was COVID.
Yeah.
So my freshman year, our season got short, and we made the NCAA tournament, and we were there. We had our official practice, and we got sent home before we played. So that was my very first year, and it was a really like tough experience, like to go through. But like we were lucky enough to sit back and like laugh at it now because we went through that together. And then obviously years following that, it took a while to get back, as it did everywhere. Basketball took a while to get back to how it is now. Like we had practices where we had to wear masks, but we were sweating through the masks. We weren't allowed to high five each other, or you had hand sanitizer on the side of the court, or things like that. Or we had small-sided practices where we all couldn't mix, or we were in certain groups, and you know, we couldn't mix groups or testing every week. And even, yes, that was a low light that came from it that cut the NCAA run short. But then at my last school at Southern New Hampshire, we had a tournament experience again. So, you know, everything kind of feels a bit full circle as it does being back in the Super League. So, yeah, everything is connected all of the time.
True. That is true. Even for me, like, COVID was so big for me as it was for many people. Like,
Yeah.
that was the first time, honestly, Macy, where I had no basketball. I could go to the point. I was like,
it really tests you, and it really makes you think about your identity as a person. And I said this to one of our younger players the other day. I was like, it's what you do at the end of the day. Basketball is just a game, and it is what you do, and it's not who you are.
but
So that's okay when we make mistakes or bad things happen, but it is very important to try and better yourself as an individual outside of the game, because I feel like that helps your performance and your ability to like separate after like a bad game, say that like, that's okay, I'm going to go home and I'm going to see this person, or I'm going to go do this now, and that's done. And it's like in a little compartment, and you can store it away somewhere and come back to it when you're ready.
Did you always have that awareness and understanding? No, is that something that kind of came over?
No, it came over time. I'm still working on it now, but it's funny to me, and I see it in like my younger siblings, and they're like, my sister's a dancer and a performer. My brother's 11, so he's just started playing.
Nice.
So I see it, like, and I think about myself when I was younger. I used to think that, and it's true, like what you're going through is the most important thing in your life right now. But looking back, I'm like, it's not that important. And everyone says like, oh, we'll be able to laugh about it one day. Like, no, you will literally laugh about it one day, and how like upset and worked up you got about it. So
that's so true, man. Because like, I could tell for you, it was, as much as I love basketball, you love basketball, there is, like you said, an identity outside of basketball.
Yeah.
Even when you was looking at Scent and Cell, you was like, let me not just focus on my basketball career, but my studies and what I like outside of it as well, which I think is so key. Because even, not just for myself, but other people, like you, when it comes to a loss, Macy, I'm like, I've gotten better at it, where I'm like, okay, when I get home, let me just chill, watch Netflix, and then I feel better. But Buffalo was like, because my identity was just basketball, I'm like, doesn't mean I'm not a good coach, or like, it just ruins my whole mood. Like,
and obviously you have to like take the constructive pieces. By the end of the day, like we've got practice tomorrow, and we have another game. Or in America, or even now, if like people that study like later on, you have to go to class tomorrow at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And like people don't understand like the role that school plays in it. Either like you must commit to your studies, because especially for people wanting to go to America, like that is why you are here.
Yeah.
Like,
true.
And that if you're not on top of things, you can get sent home very quickly. But still, like, school is there all the time, especially in America, because you're like, I'm on the bus until like 2 o'clock in the morning, but I have to be up at 7 to go to class. I can't just not go, because your coach will find out if you don't go. So it didn't happen to me, but they will. They know everything.
And just before we speak about your professional career with the London Lions, like, how would you compare? Because even for me, like, I asked this because I went to Canada last summer.
Yeah.
And it starts to make sense why certain countries are way ahead of the UK. Like, I'm seeing every neighborhood they've got the portable hoop, they've got full-size basketball court, like everyone's hooping, whereas for us, it is getting better. It is aggressive. The outdoor courts, they're being refurbished, like Short Basketball, it was doing an amazing job, but we're still behind. When you see Canada, the US, and even some countries in Europe, you see why the sport they play at a high level, or why even the fundamentals are so high. For yourself, what was it like getting that first-hand experience of the US basketball culture, and what things will start to make sense to you? That's why the game is so quick. Now I understand why they're ahead of us.
I think for me, it was just love for the game. I'm not saying that people don't love it here, because it is increasing rapidly, but everyone loves basketball. Even people would come and watch us play that didn't know anyone on our team. They were just in the area, they lived close by, and they just loved the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And
Let's go Hawks!
yeah, literally, it was like people would just come because they knew so-and-so. And again, it goes back to circles and connections and networks. And it does bring people together, but everything in America is like that, very interlinked, very close-knit. So it was just nice to witness that and be a part of the buzz. And especially, like, people knew that you were the foreign, like, import.
Okay.
It was an import, like, wow, like, what's happening? Yeah, so there's always this kind of buzz, like, around the game, around you, around your team. Like, people wanted to come and watch the team play and wanted the team to be successful. So it was a really cool experience to be immersed in that.
When they heard you speak, that's when, oh my gosh, I love your accent.
Yes, and I was like, and they were like, say something. I'm like, what do you want me to say? But just speaking normally. Yeah.
Wow. And just making that transition now with your professional career, playing for the London Lions, like, they have honestly done some historic things, and just the legacy is huge. Yeah. So for yourself, like, playing for the London Lions in the Super League Women's, what has been so far, because it is still early in the season, what's been your biggest takeaway from competing at the professional level?
For me, it still sounds crazy to be like, when you say like your pro career, I'm like, oh, still so like a little baby. And obviously it's not my first time like playing for the London Lions. Like, I played for London Lions years ago, like before I went away, before all the legendary stuff happened. So when I was away seeing all of that, I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, it was amazing. But being back now, we're in like a rebuild phase.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that our group is really special.
Yeah.
And we have a very close-knit group, and that's why we're able to keep pushing and keep going.
Yeah.
Lots of work going on behind the scenes. But my biggest takeaway right now from like a off-the-court thing is that selective hearing is key. No one knows what's going on unless you're the ones going through it. So at the moment, we don't have anyone but each other, our coaching staff, our leadership team, the players. Like, we're working, and we're working hard. And that's the biggest thing for us at the moment. We're putting in that work, and we're ready to catch some people where they need to be caught. So that's okay. We're putting in the work.
Right.
But for me, personally, I was doing this in America in a smaller capacity, but here I am working on my confidence and a leadership kind of capacity on the court, because that's what I need to do to better myself as a player and what my team requires from me. Like, it's a non-negotiable. I need to be confident. I need to be a leader. But for me, one thing I'm really focusing on is leading by doing, because I'm a really great communicator. I think that's one of my top skills. I communicate very well, understand, have good social awareness on how certain people like to be spoken to. Like, if I need to take a softer approach, or I need to just be direct and say how it is, because some people might get upset, which is absolutely fine. But for me, I'm trying to transition away from being loud all the time, and just by doing and being someone that someone can see and be like, this is what Macy's doing, and I'm going to do that too.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to do.
Right. See,
and it's a work in progress, but we're getting there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for me, it's exciting times, because, I mean, you probably know this as a pro, like, people, they see you make that game-winning shot, or there was a highlight you did where you crossed over to your left and did a nice little finish. Like, people only see that moment, but they don't realize the reps on reps on rep, they're missing the layup, or they see they see teams go on these like Telenor runs and like they're undefeated in the season, but they don't know where it all started from, like the practices and the habits that you need to develop to get to that type of level, you know. So for me, honestly, I'm excited for the London Lions, like honestly, because this is where you guys are again. You're in the rebuilding stage for the site, because then this is where true characters show and you'll learn the habits, all those important ingredients that's going to get you to that level, you know. So I just love the mindset you have, honestly, and I'm super excited for the Lions, man.
There has to be, you have to face adversity with excitement.
Facts. Yeah.
And like push through the struggle. Like, again, like I said, no one's going through it but us. And at the end of the day, we'll have the positive takeaways, and also the negative things too that we've had to deal with. But all adversity is good because we learn from it. So we'll all have these experiences. Like we're the ones that will only have them. So really, we're lucky at the end of the day.
True.
Like we'll get something from this regardless.
Absolutely. You even mentioned it earlier, like you as a guard, being just not even a guard, just as a person, being a great communicator and understanding. I can be there with someone here, but on the other person, I might need to speak in a different tone or highlight something else.
Yeah.
Being a point guard is super key. You have to understand where the help defense is coming from. You have to understand, okay, what plays are running.
Yeah.
Okay, this person hasn't had this shot yet. As a guard, how do you approach decision making on the court, especially during high pressure situations?
I try not to think about it off the court.
Okay.
Until I get nervous about games a lot, because I care a lot.
Yes.
I care a lot about everything, but especially basketball, especially about winning and my teammates. So I just try to deal with it in the moment and just make decisions as they come. But yeah, that's what I would say, because it's hard to think about it like as like a detached point of view. But when you're making decisions in high pressure situations, it's just you refer back to all of like the work and repetitions because one day they become muscle memory.
Right.
So really it's that. So it's about preparation, and I know that when I'm prepared and I've done my work beforehand, that allows me to be a bit freer on the court.
Right.
When I feel unprepared, or I know I haven't done this or done that, that's when I start to doubt myself a little bit.
Right.
But you refer back, so for me, I try not to think about too much in high pressure situations, because I know in the back of my head that I've done this before.
Right.
And even though I'm 24 and this is my first like rookie season, but before this, I have actually played here before.
Yeah.
I had started and played significant minutes in this league before as a junior.
Yeah.
And I've been to America, I've done this, I've represented my country. So I have experience, and I also have a lot of life experiences. So like I am actually very prepared, even in some situations when I'm like, ooh, I feel a little bit unprepared.
Of course.
You just have to remind yourself that you're more prepared than you think you are.
What would you say are like some of the key skills that make a solid guard, in your opinion?
A handle. You have to have a handle, both sides. But with that, I feel like your eyes and your vision and being able to see things coming at you, but also be able to read what's beyond that, especially in terms of like traps and second lines of defense.
Yeah.
I feel like your eyes go with your handle, because if you can't see where you're going or what's your end destination with this handle, then what's the point, kind of thing. You need to be able to like escape defenders, go by them, set your teammates out. But if you are looking at the floor or you're looking at the wrong place and you miss people, then what's the point, kind of thing. And also I think a really underrated big thing is you have to know your personnel.
So true.
You have to know your personnel. Yeah. Everyone's like, a scout's not important or blah, 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 blah. But I mean personnel, like my teammates, I have to know who they are, how they like to be spoken to, how they like to receive the ball and where they do, and like what they do best, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to make them look good and feel as confident as they can. So I'm trying to set my teammates up to be successful. So I have to know my personnel. So I feel like personnel is probably, for a point guard, I feel like that is up there.
Yeah.
But I feel like, honestly, you have to be a bit of a Swiss Army knife and do a bit of everything. You need to be able to shoot. You need to keep defenders honest. You need to get paint touches either for yourself to finish or to set up and draw two and kick out.
Yeah.
But you also need to set the tone, like, defensively. Like, you don't have to be the quickest person. You don't have to be the strongest, but you need to be the hardest worker and the max effort outputter on the team to be able to, like, establish tone from your teammates and to be able to, like, earn the respect of them for them to follow and the respect of the other team as well. Like, to be able to be like, this isn't going to be easy. Like, regardless of the score, regardless of who you're playing, like, it's still going to be easy.
Yeah.
So
I like it. And I love how you even touched upon just the defensive side, because I understand even now with basketball, and it's what attracts me to the sport as well, with regards to like the highlights and the dunk or the layup or the Euro step and finish or even that nice dime. But defense, I think, is so key. Even like I said, making sure that when they're in our court, it's not going to be easy for them. Like you're gonna have to set a hell of a good screen to get me up. Even if you set a good screen, I'm still going to be in your bitch to contest. Like, that is so key. So key. And when it comes to advice for the next generation and for players who would like to follow in your footsteps, like, what advice would you give to them who aspire to compete at the college level or even the pro level?
I would say, like, a big kind of theme or an idea is to start early. You start communicating with people early, you start reaching out to people, establish your circles and your communication channels early, because it does help the more people you know.
Yep.
I would say start lifting early. So you need to be healthy to play. What good are you to a coach if you're on the sideline hurt? Some things are out of our control, but if you're healthy and in shape and always ready to go, like, it really does speed things up for you. Like, even recovery time, because injuries and things happen that are out of our control. But if you can get your body right, your mind's bound to be in a better place as well. I would also say, on the start early idea, that I'm very lucky and very grateful to come from a very close-knit family.
Right.
We love each other to bits, but I am also very independent, and that was due to my parents helping me be this way. It is helpful to start gaining that independence as early as you can. Like, when I was in year 10, I live in Newton, I said it before, but shout out. I would go once a week to train with Steve Veer and Brixton Topcus. When I was in year 10, I would get to train. I'm a massive train warrior, but like once a week down to Brixton by myself, like, that might not be a big thing to many people, but to me at that time it was.
Yeah.
So, like, being able to do those things, challenge people to workouts, like, do things like by yourself and be as self-sufficient as possible, it really does wonders for you in the long run. Like, when I was at Barking, I lived in the team house and did my own food shopping, clothes washing, and all of that. I would go home like once every like couple of weeks when we had like off weekend, maybe. But that set me up from America. In America, you go to the dining hall, all your food's cooked for you, you have your magical meal swipes, you get your laundry loot to wash your practice gear after practice, people do your washing for you. And I was like, wow, like, this is really, I really did the hard stuff before. Like, this feels like a summer camp. Like, this is fantastic. But yeah, so start early, communicate, make sure you look after your body. Like, even from a young age, like, I've been lifting. Like, I'm a massive weight room fan. Like, that is a really big, like, detox and, like, clarity thing for me, because I know I'm going to go in and I'm going to do this. There's no thinking, like, in a basketball game. Yeah. Like, I'm going to follow a session and I'm going to get this, and this done. Like, I've been lifting in varsity weight room since I was, like, 15. Wow. And that really set me up, like, to be strong. And it really did a lot for me. Like, it always helped me be ready, like, especially in the summer, like, being ready to go. And like, you never compare yourself to people, but you're trying to be better than other people, but you're trying to be better than yourself when you work. So if you can be a bit better every summer and you come in for each season ready to go when other people might not, either on your team, like your other teammates, you'll be better and in a better position than them, and you'll be better than the people that you're playing against as well.
Right. And how do you even approach going to the weight room? Because I think there's like 1,000 workouts to do this, to dunk, or do this to not injure yourself. Like, for me, when I go to the weight room, it's to get stronger, but also to be injury prevention.
Yeah, rehab is massive.
Yeah.
Especially like taking time to warm up properly.
Exactly.
People like skip over it, but it is really important. It gets your body right, and it also helps you focus on a workout. Like it's the same like before a game, like during warm-ups and layup lines or like a dynamic stretch in a game, before a game, I'm not thinking about a lot, to be honest. I'm just trying to like zone out to be ready to like zone back in and focus again. But prehab, core, like stability work, massively underrated, and it's really important. Like I need to do more of it still, and I love doing it, but I could be doing more.
Right. And what specific drills or routines would you say have been crucial in developing your basketball IQ, but your skill set as well?
Playing against boys.
Okay.
Very big for the girlies out there. It might be scary, but it's really not once you get going.
Right.
And you surprise a lot of people.
For sure.
Actually, when me and MJ on my team, we first started playing at Opens together. She was living in Luton at the time, and at first it was just me and her as the only two girls like in our town, like that played basketball. And then she moved away, and so we split up, and now we're back together again. But it doesn't matter if like there's no girls that play around you. You just need to play.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you can work out 1v0 or like 1-to-1 with a coach, but things need to be realistic, and you have to have game reps and game situations and have like life stimulation as well, because otherwise it's not going to translate to a game, and you're going to ask, why is this not working? And it's well, you haven't done it before in a game, so it's quite hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything you have to play against guys that are bigger, stronger, faster, and because then it will make coming back to your own age group or playing against girls a lot easier. And you'll be able to see the transference of skills a lot better as well.
And even with a guard at your size, like I think we're seeing more examples of it now, such as yourself and other guards. Being at your height, you have to be super crafty and footwork and stuff. How do you, I would even say it's a disadvantage, it's an advantage. Like how do you use that to your advantage, and what are some of the things you're doing so that when you're finishing at the rim, you're kind of not getting a shot blocked so you're just able just to play the game smart?
Yeah, I feel like timing is key. Like, sure, I might take an extra dribble, I might take one less and like release earlier. I might take 5 extra dribbles and dribble it through the key and out the other side if I don't like what I have. But regardless of what people say, being closer to the ground is always better.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like I have a really good like grasp on my body and my movement patterns, and can be really dynamic. And I do think using timing and choosing your moment is like key in that. So you're trying to, most of it is not even a physical thing. It's like a brain game. You're just trying to outsmart the person in front of you.
Right.
And do things a bit faster, a bit quicker, be a bit of a surprise every now and then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You will keep people on their toes.
Absolutely.
Especially being smaller. You don't have to be the fastest person, but you have to be ready to go. Fast in the mind, at least.
Right.
So.
Right. And we even spoke about this earlier with regards to how UK basketball and the culture has grown and has continued to develop.
Yeah.
How would you say, like, in your perspective, from when you started, at Oaklands, Barking Abbey, and the next steps you took, how would you say UK basketball is growing, in your opinion, but also what needs to happen for the sport to continue and gain more opportunities?
The biggest change, there's been massive change, a complete 180 from what it used to be. Like the amount of people that are attracted to our league at the moment in our country is like really nice to see.
Yeah.
And like you touched on, like it is a full circle for me, and it's not all like sunshine and rainbows at the end of the full circle. Like this is a challenge. Like every week and every game we play, it's a big learning opportunity for myself. So it's really nice to be faced with a new challenge every week, because I'm playing against some amazing talented athletes each week that I used to like in awe of them almost, and then you're like, nah, like we're gonna compete and we're gonna be okay.
Right.
But that's happened because of the increased funding and exposure and attention that's been given, and
Yeah.
for it to continue to improve, everything just needs to be amped up.
Right.
And with support, exposure, attention, because at the end of the day, like us as athletes, like we deserve that. The league deserves that.
Thanks.
Because the British basketball community is a pretty nice place to be.
Absolutely.
And more people need to see that.
Absolutely. And I'm just even proud to say that the London Lions is now competing and has in the past. We've now finally hit that international level. Because I would have guests in the past from US and like, yo, coach, like, what's the basketball coach right there? Because like I hear like the AC Monacos and the teams in Greece that could be in the EuroLeague or basketball Champions League. But like, how come there was no London team there? Well, at least one team from the UK, but now the conversation's changed. Like you're seeing so many teams now compete at that level. So I just love where basketball is now. Honestly,
And
it's super.
Just a good place to be, and it will be even better in the future, which is exciting.
Right.
Exciting to be a part of. Again,
Sure.
very lucky.
For sure. And how do you think the previous success of teams like the London Lions and players like yourself who honestly inspire the younger generation to take up the sport of basketball?
I feel like we have a lot of responsibility in terms of, we want to keep people engaged. We want to keep them excited about our sport. But at the end of the day, that kind of, you might think that adds pressure, but really it doesn't, because we're just trying to play our sport. Like we've earned people's attention and their support for a reason.
Right.
And we just got to keep doing what we keep doing best.
Right.
So we have big shoes to fill. But it is a very exciting place to be. Very lucky for the opportunity. Very grateful.
I did some digging with research. I'm not sure if these two players are still your current favorite players, but when it comes to your favorite athletes, I understand it's Kelsey Plum and Noreen Johannes.
Mm-hmm.
What about their games do you admire, and how have you incorporated any elements of their style in your own?
Two amazing athletes, but I think they're just not even physically from a physical aspect, but mentally how they approach the game. They're the ultimate competitors. Everyone wants them on their team. They do the little things, they do big things. Like they're not afraid of big moments, and they're not afraid of getting stuck in either. When I watch film, I don't have a favorite player that I watch. I think it's beneficial to watch every person in my position. Because you can learn so much from anyone, depending, you just have to lock in and focus on what you need to improve on. But those two people, like, at the end of the day, you can have all the skill in the world, but if you're not a competitor and you don't want to win and you don't want to give everything that you can in one single moment, you're not going to be successful.
That's key, man. That's key. That's something that I tell the players. Shout out to the London Elite girls. Like, I've seen players, even at just the stage before the England level. Like, I was fortunate enough to be the under-17s London regional coach, and coaches will kind of tell me the past coach, like, this player is great, but you'll learn why they didn't make it to the next step. They didn't tell me why, and as I kind of watched them play, it's like they're skilled, athletic, big, but they didn't always have the right attitude or the right effort. And for me, I'm just big on, you don't need to be athletic or smart to have maximum effort, but also just have the right attitude. Like,
the intangibles, the intangibles are key.
Exactly. Like, mistakes are going to happen in the game of basketball, but I'm more, at least for me, I like to just focus on what is your thought process after that. Is it you miss a layup, head goes down, jogging back or deep, it's last 5 or 4, or you're like, even though I miss and I was straightened, I'm going to sprint back and take the frustration out on a block or a steal, or screen right, screen left. Like, I'm more concerned with what you do after that mistake, So making a transition just before we wrap up with the quick hitter segment, and I'm super intrigued to get your thoughts on this one. What would you say, Macy, is, this could be in basketball or in life?
Or
What would you say is a skill that is taught by many, but only mastered by a few?
listening. Being able to listen, but actually take in what's being said, and being able to recognize how you communicate afterwards. Because sometimes you don't need to do a whole lot. you don't need to say a whole lot in response. Some people just need you to listen to what they're saying. Some people just need you to listen, and maybe that requires an action. Like, maybe you don't have to say a whole lot. So I answered that really quickly. It's going that way. I like that. Yeah. But I would just say listening and being able to listen in the right way, and then that comes hand in hand with what comes next after that.
I think that's a first, but also a first from how quick
Sorry,
you was spoiled about. I love it. You would like
together. Shoot, like, that was open air for you already. Wait. Next one, best piece of advice you ever received.
This is a quick hair. This one sits on the spot. I feel like I receive a lot of advice. I have a very good support network.
Nice. That's cute.
Yeah, it is key. That's very reason why I'm here and still playing. I think, I don't know, I can't think about one exact piece. But I think everyone says it all the time, but it would probably just be to go play with a smile on your face and to have fun. It sounds really cliche, but I play my best when I'm enjoying myself and I'm having a good time. So that's what comes to mind off the top of my brain, because that's what I get told a lot.
Okay. Understood. Next one, the final two, they only have a little bit of fun at the end where it's kind of like a little quiz.
Oh, goodness. Woo!
The next one, this is where I'm going to say a sentence, but you need to fill in the blank.
Okay.
If it wasn't for basketball, I wouldn't have learnt filling the blank about myself.
If it wasn't for basketball, I wouldn't have learned how caring I am as a person, because at the end of the day, it's a team sport.
Yeah.
And you also surround yourself with certain people off the court as well. So it's a very social game, and it's very important, especially when you live away from home, to place yourself in social settings, like, so you don't feel isolated. So, and I am a massive carer. If I can, I'd give anything I have to you, like physically, like intangibly. So if it wasn't for that, I don't think people would be able to receive it.
I like that one. And the final one, let me paint a picture for you, Macy. So there's a player now that is looking up to you. They're going to the nearest bookstore, Waterstones, and then ask their bro, hi, do you know where I'm here to pick up the brand new book from Macy Spinks? How? Yeah, you just go up the stairs. If you go in the sports section, you can't miss it. It's right there. Cool. So there's a girl there with a backpack. She's going up the stairs, and she finds the sports section, and she sees your book. What would the title of your autobiography be?
Oh, Mace.
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 Ooh, why do you mean that?
Because I literally spoke to someone about this today, but I like it when people call me Mace, not Macy, because it shows like a certain level of comfort amongst each other. Like, I feel like you've earned the right to call me Mace, and I like it when you call me Mace. Like, that kind of like cohesion and partnership. And if it was a book about myself and I'd written it, then I'd want to be on a level with the reader. So,
Wow. Okay. I like that.
like, yeah, you can call me Mace.
No, absolutely. Right. The next segment now, rapid fire questions. I'm going to give you the headphones for a second.
No.
Where you're going to hear the countdown. And it's funny because shout out to Matthew Goodwin. He was like, Coach, why are you putting me in this like...
No, you're putting me in the spot.
So it's 10 seconds. You're going to hear the countdown. And you need to list 5 things. For example, I might say, Macy, you've got 10 seconds. And this could be in the WNBA or the NBA. I might say, Macy, name me 10 seconds to name 5 centers.
Oh my goodness, I'm not good at this stuff.
Right, let me cue this up. Right, guys, we have prepped. So she's got 10 seconds and she needs to name 5 things. So the first 2 is quite easy. It's just that it's quite broad names. So I'm going to give you Mace, 10 seconds to name 5 players. This could be in the WNBA or the NBA.
Oh. I go off.
Yep.
Count. I go down.
Yeah.
Oh, right now. Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, Marine Johans, Megan Gustafson. Oh, it's gone. I was too slow.
It's all good. We'll take the four. Okay, next one. You've got 10 seconds to name 5 teams. Could be in the W or the NBA.
Denver Nuggets, Sacramento Kings, Detroit Pistons, Boston Celtics, LA Lakers.
Let's go. Let's go.
I was on that one. I was ready.
Right, see, I'm going to call this screen early so you can get a hand up and choose to go over or cleaner. These ones, guests have kind of fumbled upon in the past because these are, which is like,
Really put me on the spot.
you do hear these names, but it's usually if they're doing a really good job or a bad job and they end up getting fired. So that might even be saying too much. But okay, so you've got 10 seconds to name 5 coaches in the WNBA or NBA.
Greg Pop.
Yeah, legend.
Becky Hammond.
Legend.
You see, I can see their faces.
Just in that is just
The names, not coming to me. Sorry.
It's all good. This one, low key, you might have an advantage considering who your top 2 favorite athletes are. You've got 10 seconds to name 5 international players. Could be in the WNBA or the NBA.
I'm gonna go back with Marine.
Okay, yep.
We've got Tammy Fagbele,
2, yep. That's
Megan Gustafson.
3.
And here it goes. It's not. There's loads, but because I'm here,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, brain's empty.
Right, the final 3, these ones are a little bit easier because it's more just down to personal preference. So, next one, you've got 10 seconds to name 5 basketball movies.
Goodness. Love and Basketball.
1, classic.
White Men Can't Jump.
2,
What's it called? Coach Carter.
3.
I should have said High School Musical. They're in my brain. I just can't get them out. Buster.
It's all good. Right, last two. So, you've got 10 seconds to give me your top 5 players of all time.
Of all time,
Your personal.
my personal Drew Spinks has to be on the list. Yeah. The countdown's too far.
well. So the countdown. So you someone is
So you'll go with Drew Steele top.
Legend.
Big fan of Sue Bird. And also Celine Dumas, the French point guard.
Yep.
I grew up watching her a lot. I used to be a big fan of KD growing up.
Okay.
And I feel like we have to throw Steph in there too.
Of course. Yep. I hear that. And the final one before we wrap up. You've got 10 seconds to name 5 artists that get you hyped before a game or workout.
Oh, that is tough. I'm a big fan of hitting shuffle, so it comes quite randomly. But Don Toliver, Doja Cat,
Okay.
Scrap the countdown. Keep
Scrap
it going.
the countdown.
You
It's-
hang to that Don Toliver. Talk to you.
yeah, so main guy.
Yeah.
We'll throw Meg Thee Stallion in there.
Yeah.
And then I'm a big fan of throwback.
Okay. Talk to me. Okay.
I don't know, but like I'm a big fan of nostalgia.
Yep.
Big into learning that it's like a good thing now and not like bad stuff.
Yep.
Like happy memories. So I don't know. I'm gonna be really controversial and throw in like Fleetwood Mac and like the old stuff.
Is that you, Mace? What? Okay.
That's a yeah. I told you we're being controversial. If it makes me feel happy, we're throwing it in there before a game.
Absolutely. Okay.
But I can only give you 4 right now.
Okay. I would say.
Music is big.
Yeah.
Music is big sharing.
Right.
So you can have 4.
That is it. Right. She has survived the quiz. So I'll take the
This is
honestly, I've done that myself, and this was, trust me, try it as well. Like, even the coaches one, I'll be like, Phil Jackson, Steve Kerr, and just blank out all the other something. Like, it's just so tough. But honestly, Mace, thank you so much
Thank you for having me.
for your time. And just for the listeners, the link will be in the description. If you listen to this through YouTube or Spotify, all our socials will be there. But for those who just want to follow your journey and follow London Lions, where can they find you?
Just on Instagram or any social media, or if you want to come to a game, please do.
Please,
Come and
yes.
speak to me. I love talking. Yeah, anywhere, social media, that's the biggest. But yeah, and it is at Spinks Macy. See, I don't even know my own DM handle. Yeah, just living. Come find me. I'm not that hard to find.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, I just want to say honestly, thank you for what you're doing, because I was going to say you don't realize it, but I feel like you do. You just realize what you mean to the sport, what you mean to young players who are growing up and they're seeing the Super League women's for the first time, or the Super League joint. They're like, whoa, like, that's cool. Like, I want to try basketball. Or, oh, I like how, what's her name? Oh, Macy Spinks. Or can I get a jersey? Like, you have that type of influence, you know? So honestly, hats off to what you and the rest of the team are doing. Thank you so much. Honestly, I was hyped all day to have
Really, me too. I'm really excited for this.
Absolutely. And this is myself and Mace. Catch you at the next game. Please calm down and support.
We need you.
Honestly, absolutely. This is myself, Coach D, and the one and only Macy Spinks signing out.
Thank you.